Let's continue in this video looking at some unit conversions, but this segment is going to specifically look at some examples you'd use in sciences, specifically chemistry examples. So doing some unit conversion for some specific examples that maybe would happen in a chemistry course or in a chemistry textbook. To start with, I would like to spend just a few minutes looking at converting in the metric system. What's really nice about the metric system is it was created very specifically to our number system, which is a base 10 number system. So what happens is it makes it very easy to convert because all you have to do is move at decimal places. If you wanted to convert from a kilometer to a decimeter, you'd go from a kilometer to the right 1, 2, 3, 4 units or 4 spaces. So you would move the decimal right 4 spaces, 4 places. If you wanted to go from a millimeter to a decimeter, that's 2 spaces, so 2 units to the left. So the decimal would move left 2 units. A number of people have memorized the main pieces of the metric system by using this mnemonic: King Henry died drinking contaminated milk. You do have to notice, you have to understand some things about the system to be able to use this. And the first thing you have to understand is that the meter, gram, and liter are our base units. So if you're talking about measurement for distance or length, we're using a meter. If you're talking about weight, we're going to use a gram. If you're measuring capacity, like how much Pepsi or Coke fits in this container, we're going to be using a liter. So it is important that you can understand that in this system, the meter, gram, and liter are the base unit, and we can have a kilometer, a kilogram, or a kiloliter, depending on which base we're using, what type of measurement we're doing. Here's how the system works. We're going to start by writing the number we have, in this case is 75, and we're going to put this implied decimal after the 75. If we're going to go from a this one's a deca. If we're going to go from a decameter to a decimeter, we have to count how many places that moves. It's 1, 2. So to go from a decameter to a decimeter, we're going to move 2 units to the right. The decimal is going to move 2 places to the right. That would put the decimal here. And then we need to insert zeros as placeholders. So it looks like 75 decameters is going to be equivalent to 7,500 decimeters. Let's try another example just to make sure everyone has the hang of this. If we wanted to convert from 75 decimeters, this place, to hectometers, the first thing to do is to count how many spaces that is, how many units is it, and it's 1, 2, 3. So when we write this 75, down here in this one, right? When we write the 75, it's implied that that decimal is at the end of the 75. And then we're going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3 units to the left. And when we do that, we've got the 5 from the behind the 5 to behind the 7 to in front of the 7, but then we need 1 0 as a placeholder. So 75 decimeters, move to hectometers, 1, 2, 3 units, would move the decimal 1, 2, 3 places and giving us 0.075 hectometers, or 75 thousandths of a hectometer. Let's try one more example just to make sure everyone's got this. If we wanted to go from a kilometer to a millimeter, it looks like we would be moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places. If I go 6 decimal places right, oh, 75. If I go 6 decimal places right, let me make this consistent with the other examples. So I'll start with the pink. If I move to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimals to hold the place value. And it looks like I would get 75 million millimeters. So 75 kilometers is equivalent to 75 million millimeters. That's how we can use the metric chart to convert within the metric system. Now this example is a little bit different because it's converting from the metric to the English system. So we do need to start out with a conversion factor. And I can pull off of a chart where I just know that 1 inch is equivalent to 2 and 54 hundredths of a centimeter. So using the process we used before, we're going to write the 45 and 6/10 of a centimeter, or 45.6 centimeter over 1. And we're going to multiply this. When I multiply, I'm going to use a centimeter to an inch. So I'll put the centimeter in the denominator so that the centimeter can reduce with the centimeter, or divide out with the centimeter. After I put the units, the inches and the centimeters, I can carry the numbers over appropriately. So it looks like I'll take the 45.6 and divide by 2.54, and that's going to leave me with inches, because the centimeters both divided out. So if you do this calculation, you'll be able to get the final answer here. This next example is going back to the metric chart, and so all we have to do is move the decimal. But you might be unfamiliar with this notation. It's called scientific notation. We've got 1.23 times 10 to the negative 6. That's the same thing as saying 1.23 and then move the decimal 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So 1.23 times 10 to the negative 6 is equivalent to 0.000000123. So this is just a little bit of a different notation. It's called scientific notation because when you're using very big or very small numbers, scientists want to be certain that they don't lose a decimal place. It's always written so that there's one significant digit before the decimal. A significant digit is a digit that's non-zero. So if I want to convert from a kilometer to a centimeter, I notice that I've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units right. So if I move this decimal 6 units right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm just moving it right back where we started to get 1.23. how could I do that without rewriting it? Let me show you this. Without writing it, as the decimal, without taking it out of scientific notation, what I'm going to do is multiply by 10 to the, now since I'm moving positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, positive goes right. It's really the same as just saying 1.23 times 10 to the negative 6 times 10 to the positive 6. And these 10 to the negative 6, 10 to the 6 just undo each other. They reduce because it's the same as saying 10 to the 6 over 10 to the 6 because it's negative to the 6 puts it in the denominator, so those just reduce out. So they undo each other entirely, and we're left with the 1.23. You might need a little more practice with that. Maybe watch the video a couple times if you need to, so that you can be sure to calculate those accurately. Let's go on to another example. In this example, we're going to convert from years to hours. So we need to know a few unit conversions. We need to know that 1 year is 365 days. And we need to know that 1 day is 24 hours, right? So to set this one up, we'll start by writing the 34.5 years over 1. And then I'm going to multiply from a year to a day so that the years will divide out. And then I'm going to have to get rid of a day in the bottom to hours. So all I have to do now is fill in the values. So if I want to get rid of years, I need years in the denominator. 1 year corresponds to 365 days. And then if I want to get rid of the days, I've got to put days in the denominator. So I could have that 1 day is 24 hours. So it looks like for this example, what I've left to do is multiply 34.5 times 365 times 24, and I will be left with hours because everything else is divided out. The years divided out the years, the days divided out the days, and I'm left with hours. Let's try another example. 355 millimeters to inches. Well, I'm going to have to start by going from a millimeter to a centimeter. And if I'm going to go from a millimeter to a centimeter, that's 1 unit left. So to go 1 unit left, we would move the decimal 1 unit to the left. So this starts by saying that 355 millimeters is 35.5 centimeters. So this problem, this example is a two-part example. It's relying on me changing the millimeter to a centimeter first because the unit conversion I have from the metrics to the English system is that 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. I don't have any conversion factor that I've memorized or that's on the chart that goes from a millimeter to an inch. So I'm going to change the millimeter to a centimeter, and now it'll be easy to do the 35.5 centimeters to go from centimeters to inches. Because the centimeters is what we're dividing out, I need to make sure I put the centimeters in the denominator. 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch. So it looks like I'll divide 35.5 divided by 2.54 to get inches. Number 5, 1 millimeter cubed, or a cubic, I'm sorry, I said millimeter, it's a meter. 1 meter cubed, or a cubic meter. So that means if we had a cube that was 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, where's the missing unit? I guess this one. 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, then this would hold the same as 1,000 liters. So a cubic meter, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, could be called a meter cubed. And if we know that 1,000 liters is 1 meter cubed, we can convert to milliliters. So what I need to recognize is that this 1 meter cubed is the same as 1,000 liters. So really I just need to use the metric chart to go from 1,000 liters to milliliters. I'm going to find the liter right here in the base unit. And if I want to go to a milliliter, it looks like I'm going to jump 1, 2, 3 units to the right. So going 3 units to the right, if I, let me write it really small, 1,000. If I went 3 to the right, I'm going to need 3 zeros as placeholders. So it looks like I'd get 1 million milliliters. 1 million milliliters. And that's going to be the same. If I wrote this in scientific notation, I could write it 1.00 times 10 to the 6th milliliters. Let's look at one last example. Going from inches to, inches to miles, we're going to need 2 unit conversions. We're going to need 12 inches is 1 foot, and 5,280 feet is 1 mile. I'm going to convert this I'll just leave it for now. 3.44 times 10 to the 8th inches. I'll start by writing that over 1. And then I'm going to use these 2 unit conversions to go inches to feet, and then feet to miles. So for inches to feet, we've got 12 inches is 1 foot. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So it looks like what I'll need to do is 3.44 times 10 to the 8th all over 12 times 5,280. And if you do that on your calculator, we'd have 3.44 times 10 to the 8th power divided by, or here, let me write this out first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. places to the right would give us 344 million, right? So if you're more comfortable putting 344 million in instead of 3.44 times 10 to the 8, that's fine. Then we will divide by 12 times 5280 gives us 5429, and it looks like that 29 keeps repeating. I don't think the directions were clear about where to round, so let's just round to the nearest, to 4 decimal places. We round to 4 decimal places. Would get 5429.2929. Well, that wraps up this sheet of examples. I hope that you found this helpful, and please let me know if you need any further help with these examples.